don't go. A mask of an old Lone Ranger and you don't mess around with Jim. What do you do?
No one else can dance like you. So what's all of us? There ain't nobody that's fine like us. Hey, what do you say? Someone took your plans away. So what's all of us? There ain't nobody that's fine.
And a good Wednesday evening, December the 14th. Thank you for joining us tonight on this special edition of Breaking News with Let's Talk Oconee SC. And we do have some special news. First of all, let's set the scene. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's show, join us as Chris Ruin, Kathy Littleton, Rainey Bond, and Jim Mann. And we are going to set to take the stage coming up next for Let's Talk Oconee SC. All right, guys, hang on just a second. And gals, before we come on, we've got something special. Let's little clip it here I need to play for y'all, so just hold on. Here we go.
Hey, please, if y'all vote tonight, I guarantee you the funds will not be turned over because it's still being closed. Matter of fact, you'll find out.
Are we going to do what they say can be done? We've got a long way to go, and a short time to get there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it was a short time to get there and a long time to go. We want to welcome you into tonight's broadcast. We want to welcome in, first of all, Kathy Rainey, if you'll wave. Kathy? Yerba, if you'll wave.
Oh, wait a minute.
There you go. Get Jim Mann, if you'll wave. And ladies and gentlemen, Rainey Bond is sitting in a drive-thru at McDonald's in Gainesville, Georgia right now.
Eating a fish sandwich.
I love technology. When it works, it's the greatest thing. All right. Well, we're going to start this show. We, as the title goes, special breaking news of Let's Talk Oconee. We were not scheduled to have a show, but things changed this morning, and we want to go ahead and get you get everything caught up with what's going on. Some of you know, some of you don't know. Jim, I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor first to let you set the scene, get us up to date on what is going on with the Oconee Republican Party.
All right. So as most of your viewers probably know, we've been struggling to recover our assets from the previous leadership, being the OCC, David McMahon, David Nix, Mickey Haney, and the group. Went to court, got a court order. The court ruled that it had to be turned over to a state committeeman in good standing. They turned it over to Jeff Davis and Mike Bowden in Greenville, who are not in good standing. We went through a little dance to try and get the assets back. Went to a state committee meeting last night, had a talk with Mike Bowden. I find him to be a reasonable man, and after some rough scrutiny and rebuke on the committee floor last night from both the podium and about every other county in the state, he called this morning and said, "Hey, Jim," he sent me a text, "Hey, Jim, can you meet me at 9:30? I'll give your stuff back." So the county party recovered our stuff. It ended up being about 11 o'clock that Mike brought it over, and we were able to take possession of it, and David Dial's inventory in it, and it looks like we're good to go.
Wow. And we had to go through all of this just to get everything back.
Yes. Silly season.
Rainey, I'm going to start with you and let you ask your questions. Chris, I'm going to come up with you, and then Kathy, if you've got any questions, you'll be next. Rainey, you're first up.
All right. Can you hear me? Yes.
I see you. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Hey, well, first off, congratulations, Jim. It took a lot to get that done, and
it was a team effort.
You're just the man for it. So my questions are, what's the party looking like going forward, and how do we stop this insurgency from happening again?
Well, some people would know that we actually sent a resolution to the Rules Committee to inhibit those who willingly break the rules from participating in the next two reorg cycles. So that's currently still in the Rules Committee for review. There will be another Q1 meeting in 2023 ahead of reorg sometime in February. Hopefully that resolution will come out of the Rules Committee and the state ECs can vote to pass that resolution. So that's one countermeasure that we're taking. Another countermeasure is how we look at the reorg process itself and strategizing tactfully about make sure we vet the proper participants at the precinct level. You know, Democrats and Republicans can work together, right, Chris? We don't want extremists on either side to take control.
Not at all.
No, we don't. We want a straightforward to work together for a common goal.
That's right. And so,
and that's been.
Go ahead, Ray.
Go ahead. I was just going to say that's been the long time theory of winning elections is focus on those folks that can meet in the middle and are interested in compromise. Those are the ones that draw the votes from both sides of the fence. And we've got to really be able to sell ourselves better than the Democrats can in 2024.
I'm all for that.
Not me. Okay.
But we've got some committees that are going to take care of looking at our bylaws, making sure those are better aligned with the state rules so there's not so much confusion in the future. An events committee, a membership committee. We got a lot to kick off here between now and April. Of course, it's the holiday season, right? So come January, we're going to be really, really busy at the precinct level. Look at our strengths, where we have strengths in the county, and focus on those areas where we have strengths. Make sure we shore those up and then go after the ones that we think are friendly and can provide additional support for us to prevent any of these extremist views, if you will, from re-entering and causing havoc again.
David Dial checks in. He says, damn, what a great looking group.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
Right back at you.
Is
The
it my
second
turn?
second question I have for you, you said the membership committee. What exactly is membership going to look like in the Republican Party? What is the definition of membership?
Well, I think we've got to take a good look at that, Rainey, and it's going to be a group of people making that decision. But I honestly believe it's just like any association that you're in. It's not so much a pay to play, but let's put your money where your mouth is. I mean, the Democrats are great at fundraising, are they not?
Yes.
They have a actual brick and mortar building in Oconee County where they can conduct their operations.
They do.
We couldn't even fill a shoebox until today.
Well, at one time we actually did have a build. Jim, you're right. We couldn't even fill a shoebox. Golly day.
I got to tell you too, guys, they're going door to door during the elections. They're getting out, they're canvassing, they're going door to door. They're sending out postcards, they're calling. I mean, yeah.
And we can be doing that where we're not always looking behind our backs, waiting to see who's going to stab us,
or having to fight.
Right?
I agree.
Exactly.
You guys couldn't do anything for constantly having to defend yourselves.
So is Randy done? Can I ask a question?
No, I'm not done.
Well, hell, it was one question. You got three. Sorry.
Point of order. Long as I am chairman, I will rule this broadcast.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Hey, since we
love each other. I love you.
Since we have a bona fide chairman, why don't we let Jim decide? Do you want to listen to me ask more questions or Chris?
Oh, because he knows I'm going to ask. He knows what I'm going to ask, the hard stuff.
All right.
Well, I would expect that.
So, but what you're saying with the membership piece is anybody that wants to vote Republican can vote Republican. But to be a member of the party, people need to be on board with their time and their money and be ready to make money for the party so that we can have the things we need to be successful in 2024.
You mean no moochers, right?
Right, no moochers.
I just find it hard to believe that we had a chairman of the party for 18, 19 months that never contributed anything to the party at all.
Nope, he was a definite parasite, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so he was a chairman, but he contributed nothing to. Yeah, he did. He contributed a lot to it. He contributed to the destruction of the party. It's where it went off the rails. And in a clip that you'll hear next week on this program, you'll hear somebody says it went off the rails because of him.
Well, people don't quit jobs because of the jobs. They generally quit bosses.
Absolutely.
And when you're in charge of something, and you screw it up, the people underneath you are going to lose confidence and they're going to leave. I mean, the same thing will happen for Jim if he doesn't, toe the rope that he said he's willing to toe.
Well, Patricia Murray has checked in. Rainey, you're right. We now have a bona fide chairman, and we do. We have a bona fide chairman. Jennifer has another question, and I don't know if you're able at this time to talk about this, but this is another important question. What's the status of the money? Is there going to have to be an investigation as far as an audit, or how we're going to proceed to find out we know what we have in that account?
So, yes, we know what was in the account. Actually, we sent that out to all the precinct DCs. David Dial did an accounting of it, and it was north of $9,500, which, we're not going to argue over spilt milk. We are going to keep the checkbook balance, though. Mickey Haney, the next time he goes to any county council meeting or city council meeting and starts talking about the general ledger and accounting practices, somebody just needs to pick up the checkbook that he was responsible for. It wasn't even balanced. So talk about integrity. Wow. Anyway, we're not going to argue over spilt milk. We're going to go forward. We know we can raise money quickly. We know once people understand that we're going to move forward with integrity and character, that they're going to get behind us. We're not going to bicker anymore, but we're going to do things in a way that everybody can feel comfortable with, and we can gain some support countywide. We're not just looking to gain support in individual areas. We're not looking to motivate people through sensationalism. We're going to be reasonable.
Chris, I'm going to go ahead and let you. It's your turn.
Great. Okay. So
wait. I got another question.
Lord, he doesn't.
I'm just
Jeff. All right. So Jim, I want to lay this thing out. Okay. So, and I said this, and I even said it in writing. Yeah, I am a Democrat, but and I'm shocked, and I will say I'm shocked. In 22, I've actually gained very good friends that are Republicans. We just disagree on policy. Mm-hmm. But you said the thing, integrity, okay? And that's important to integrity and love of country. So this is what I'm going to ask. I'm not a lawyer, but here's the thing. These guys had a court order, period. They are very, very nasty people. Nasty. I have never met anybody in my life, in business or even as a kid, that is nasty, that tries to degrade people and cause chaos like these people, especially the five. They're horrible individuals, and I cannot begin to tell you how much disgust every time I even think of them. So my question is this. If they defied a court order and they took the money out of the county, then, and I wish one of our fans that was a lawyer would answer, why are those not criminal acts? And if they're criminal acts, why aren't we, I'm not you guys, but why don't you guys do something that you should do, and that's get an attorney to work with a solicitor or whatever if they're criminal acts, and get these people charged. If they were innocent, look, this is not made up stuff, but these guys have always talked about, I'm going to sue you in this and I'm going to sue you in that. At the end of the day, you either follow the law or you don't follow the law. But when you end up mocking the law like you know more, like these guys are doing, that sets a bad precedent. Because what's going to happen, and I could smell it, because I told you guys what would happen after the election with Percy, okay? And it's beyond anything I ever imagined. They're going to look at this and smirk, and you're taking the high road because you're a good leader, but they're going to be worse. Nothing's going to stop them. And I personally believe if it's warranted, not if it's not, but if it's warranted, then they ought to be charged. Why not?
Well, I think you brought up a couple of points. Laws define criminality, right?
Yes.
And lawyers, especially like the ones we've seen partnering up with these guys in the past, they confuse the law. And so the criminality gets lost in the confusion. These guys look at the court order, they spread it out as thin as it can be. They find whatever room they have to wiggle around and be obscure in their obstruction of justice. I don't disagree with you that they should have been found in contempt of court for what they did. They were given specific information by the state on who to turn it over to, and they ignored that. And they went to someone who was not in good standing and passed it off. The judge,
outside of the county.
Right. The judge really doesn't have that level of information. We could try and bombard him with it, but we want to be the reasonable ones. And at the end of the day, we got back what we wanted to get back. And if we continue to focus on proving beyond a shadow of a doubt in a legal environment that they broke the law, it'll just go back and forth and back and forth. You know, someone told me that's on the city council or the county council, he said, let these guys play tic-tac-toe. You guys need to play chess. It's just like war games, you know, the Whopper. Eventually, you figure out you're not going to win. And so it's actually Julian Davis said, Jim, you got to play chess with these guys. They're playing tic-tac-toe, and you can't get caught in their game. And I agree with him.
Right. Well, anyways, you're the chairman. You know best. I understand what Julian's saying from a political aspect. My only point is when you're talking about that kind of money, 10,000 or whatever, that was ordered to be returned and it was actually taken out of the county. That's not politics, in my opinion. That's a law issue. There's nothing to do with politics. It's basically to say, listen, guys, nobody is above the law, period. And people are letting it slide. And I'm not saying you are. I'm not criticizing you. Lord have mercy. The crap you've had to go through, I mean, is remarkable. I'm serious.
Hey, it was worth it for the county. It was worth it for the party. It was worth it for the people that are legitimately concerned and want the best for this county and this party.
Let me interrupt you, folks. I've got a couple of folks now with comments that are asking. I'm going to go back to David Dial real quick. David, he's writing his comments, give it to folks that were not in good standing. And we actually saw a trail of that evening when all of this happened, that the Mr. Davis that we refer to joined the OCC on the Facebook page. And Matt Durham welcomed him aboard. So we knew right then and there that there was an issue. Terry checks in with this question right here, and this is a great question. Terry's asking, is there anyone in the party remaining that you believe may be an extremist?
That's a loaded question.
That's a loaded question.
I would say that there are always people lurking in the shadows, and we have to be very diligent to make sure the right questions are asked and the right situations are presented to try and shake it down. Because we can't survive another episode of chaos and confusion like we've just gone through as a party.
Well, here's the thing. Don't you have a right to have an extreme view and be part of the party? You just can't. You cannot make everyone else try to conform to your view. You can be very alt-right. You just can't try to make everyone in the party come with you. You cannot try to change the entire party over with you. And that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to say everybody here has to be like me. And that's not right. You can't do that. You can't say I am alt-right Republican and you are all going to do it my way. You can't do that. You can say I'm Republican and I will be Republican with you guys, but I'm further to the right than you guys when I'm at home, and this is how I am, and I want to be part of your group. But you can't try to make everybody in the whole group like you. And it's the same with Democrats. There are people that are very far left, but they can't make everyone exactly like them. There's got to be a happy medium. You just can't do that. You can't try to conform everybody to your way, because it's not the norm. It's not the common way. It's not the majority. You have to go with the majority.
And Kathy, they trash people, good people like Jim and Jennifer,
Exactly.
and all, as badly as they do people like me. I mean,
Well,
think
yeah.
of that. So,
Well, what about the recent?
What about the
What about the
comment that was
recent
just
toss
made?
Are there still?
Before we talk about that one, what about the comments in the paper where that one guy on the extreme right? I mean, they're so far to the right, they're on the left. They're using Maxine Water type tactics to confront people, get in their face, and really calling for people to get in your face at the store while you're out on your walk.
That's nuts. I mean,
that's crazy.
But I mean, that's Maxine Water stuff.
Call you into a dark alley.
Yeah.
None of us, since the inception of this show, has got on this program and said, "Come meet me. Come meet me somewhere." We have never said anything of the like. But yet, this group and the one person you're referring to, Goon Squad, domesticated terrorist, shall I keep going on? I mean, the insults for me started back February 27th when I announced I was going to run for county council. And it kept on, and it's kept on to this day. But I've not gone on there and said, "Hey, I'll meet you in a dark alley." And but yet, anybody, it's just not us. There's other citizens of Oconee County that's been attacked too. Even people that's not in the political realm that's been attacked.
And think of that. I talked to a friend of mine who was from
pastors.
Here, and I said, "That is about the stupid." I said, "Imagine that. What would you do?" And he said, "If I was with my family and somebody came up like that, I'd shoot them." I mean, those types of things can escalate, and all these families are impacted. Why would anybody jeopardize their family like that? Why? I can't believe it. Or their jobs. These guys doing this with the money, if they get charged, they're going to lose their jobs, their insurance, everything. They need to start thinking about their families.
Yeah.
Well, back to the comment about the binder.
Yeah. Good comment.
Was the chairman's binder in that box?
There was a white binder in that box that said reorg 2021. Now, whether or not that was the chairman's binder or not, it sure was descriptive to match what we were supposed to have taken or stolen or whatever.
Boy, that's false.
Now, did the box smell like urine?
Come on, Manny. This is a family show, buddy.
All right.
That's why I spelled it right.
All right. Jennifer's asking another good question. What about the emails being sent with the OCRP master list?
She's right.
Those emails will probably continue until you block them or report them to MailChimp. Unfortunately, we did not recover the password and login for the original OCRP account. So that was something that they closed, but they stole the database of all the email information and transferred it to another account. And we're going to have to recreate that.
I want to stop real quickly, and I want to address now our County Council District 4, Julian Davis, and Julian brings something very good to heart here. Julian says it's time to allow the party to move forward together with all sides respectfully. That includes the others as well. The movement created had many positive vibes, but no one needs to destroy those that have similar beliefs, but not the exact beliefs. I've made friends on both sides of the Republican groups and have all all have some great ideas. I've never screamed victim when some of these individuals have attacked me and told lies about me. I've prayed for them and forgiven them. It's time to move on.
I agree with Julian 100%.
He didn't say anything about making friends with Democrats.
So my question in my chicken nugget.
I think that's incredibly gracious of him.
It smelled like Woodruff Road.
Yeah, David.
So my question though is, Jim, you put together a reconciliation task force back some months ago.
Mm-hmm. Conflict Resolution Committee.
Are you willing to do that again? Or is there just not a seat at the table in the party moving forward for them?
No, I'm willing to do that again. I think we resolved a lot of conflict, but it wasn't the way we intended to resolve it. But I'm willing to sit down again and talk.
To who?
The point that Kathy made was very important. This is a big tent. Republicans are tolerant. It's just from a leadership perspective, you have to make sure that the mindset is solid and that the opportunity is there to hear and listen really to everybody's points of view without degrading them. But from a position of leadership, you have to understand that 2%, 3% on the far fringe, and just because you have the biggest mouth in the county doesn't qualify you to run for county office or precinct office. It shouldn't be the biggest mouth that dominates the scene.
You know what? Let me just say one thing. Patricia, you should have been in my shoes when they accused me of leading an insurrection in Oconee County. I had no idea what the heck they were talking about. Well, here's a good example with somebody that's a very nice person. What you just said, I agree with 100%. But when you dissect this and you want to talk about this particular group, it's not big. It's not the big mouth. These people, the disrespect, the degradation, the outright hate that they talked about good people is beyond anything I've ever seen in my imagination. Really, seriously.
Luke wanted to ask the question, wasn't the password court order to be given over, Jim?
That's what I thought.
It was.
I thought it said that.
They closed the account after we went to court. So there is no password remaining to.
So basically what they've done is they hijacked the emails that were off of there and saved the list and shared the list.
Right.
Yeah.
So
what kind of
the court,
email
yeah,
did they send?
there are specific parts of the court order that will never be satisfied.
Right.
But is it to the point where the party can move forward now? Yes,
we can.
And
I mean, all of that can be recreated, and it probably should be recreated with a new email list. Yeah, Julian says the password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You need 10 digits.
Let me finish here. All of this can be recreated. I mean, you're going to have to probably recreate a brand new website anyway, because you don't know who is the host. We have theories of who has the website that created that. So all of this can be recreated. Now, one of the questions that's come in here is about Facebook. I'm sure that, Jim, you'll sit down with the folks within the party of your team and have a discussion, Facebook, social media accounts, getting things back out there. Again, I'm sure that you'll have to recreate everything.
For sure, the Facebook account we'll have to recreate. Actually, the Oconee County Republicans website, I believe we have control of that. I believe from talking with David Dial, he's been able to access that and reconfigure it even this afternoon. So I think I'm optimistic about the website.
Well, India's checked in, and we know who she is. A very nice lady. Says, I give the OCC 6 months to collapse. Well, here's the interesting thing about the OCC.
She's sitting here beside me.
Yeah, no, I could imagine that she is. The OCC, for the folks listening, I don't know if you're aware of this, but they have created their own LLC. On November the 3rd, Oconee County Conservatives LLC went into effect with David Nix as the registered agent. So something along the lines is going on that side. I don't know what they're doing yet, but they have created an LLC.
Well, just remember, Biden hired 87,000 IRS agents. They'll get to the bottom of that.
No, we're just going to say, Julian wants to know how much is the membership. Sign you up, Julian.
Yeah, but you know what? They're obviously getting bad advice because individual acts are not covered by an LLC. My thinking is not them, but somebody that would do there thinking, okay, somebody's going to come after me legally, so I'll just put it to the LLC with no assets and I'm protected. It doesn't work that way. It's the individual. Is it exclusively open for everyone? What, the LLC?
Yeah.
Shit, I don't know. I mean,
it's open for guys like Jeff Davis.
Well, that's true. Roger, our good friend, checks in.
Yes, he's right.
Illegal because it has a value. ID thieves are prosecuted when called for misusing a person or business email address. That is true. And one more from Julian. Wonder what questions to enter the club are. All right, back to normalcy now.
Oh, my God.
But I enjoyed going to the executive committee meeting in Columbia. I had never been before. I didn't even know that there was a meeting that took place on September 10th. So that notice went out to the previous chairman and to the executive committeeman of the county and never even got to the rest of the precinct so we could send someone there to represent Oconee County. So everybody was glad to see Oconee County there. They were very supportive. The effort that has taken place here from the bottom up, and really it is from the bottom up, it's from the precinct level up to right the leadership was very much appreciated and recognized. And so when you look at all the precincts in Oconee County, the OCC leadership is a very, very minute group of people that their loyalty to each other supersedes their loyalty to any other association. Within the OCC, I know that there are good conservative Republicans that still want to associate with the broader majority of Republicans in the county. And so I still invite those members of the OCC that may be a little bit on edge to reinvestigate, take another look at the party and take another look at the leadership of the OCC and make another determination about whether or not you should look at something new or you should continue with being associated with the OCC as opposed to the Republican Party.
Well, I don't think they're redeemable. That's my own personal opinion. I do like the idea that you're getting higher visibility in Columbia, and you'd be one guy that I would have no problem whatsoever voting if you ever wanted to be the governor.
Governor,
I told somebody if I ever ran for governor, my only platform would be this: I'm going to totally revamp the DMV. And Julian would probably appreciate that. I would win if I just said, we will totally reconstruct and refurbish the DMV in South Carolina. Every Democrat and Republican will vote for me. Absolutely. And insurance salesmen.
That one guy tried to give away free marijuana and he still didn't win. You think the DMV is the ticket?
So yeah, probably
and gambling, sports gambling,
sports betting. Yeah.
Hey,
you know how many people want sports betting and that didn't even work?
Wait a minute. I want my video poker back so I can rub that little leprechaun's butt when it jumps.
He tried to give it. Sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I want to be your press secretary.
No, I'm going to be the director of communications.
No, I
have the most experience in this.
Hey, Jim, who do you like better? Come on, man. Yerba or Jazzy Jeff?
Well, that's kind of one of those loaded
Watch him. He'll pick
questions
Kathy.
again, right?
Watch him.
I'm sorry. He's my boss, Jim. I can't say that. All right, Jeff, you go for it, boss.
Yeah, Julian says DOT too, by the way. That is the Department of Transportation.
You're right.
Chris would have gotten more votes than the guy that ran for the Democratic governor.
You know what? You know what I like about Julian? Is his brutal honesty.
He's
Thank
real.
you, Julian.
He's real. He's a real person.
Yes, and he's very truthful.
Well, Julian has received a whole bunch of this criticism too, and some of this criticism should have never been. I mean, when this all went down about 2 years ago, I was the first one locally that started sounding the alarm. I said, this is not going to end well. I already had the inkling that things were going south because all you had to do was just listen around you and hear the comments that were being made. And most of what we see now took place back in January. If you will remember, outgoing Councilman Paul Kane wrote there was a special article in the Seneca Journal about he didn't want his kids around all this. It was all crazy and all the stuff that was going on. That kind of started, for good reason. That's what started most of this because there was a lot of folks starting to ask the questions of what was going on. And then all of a sudden, you had the article in the newspaper, and then they were going after the chairman, and then everything started taking a nosedive. That right there was the moment that we knew that basically it had run off the rails. Now, what could have been a great thing when he started, because there had never been as many people showed up to a meeting to jump on board to be a part of the Republican Party than I ever seen before. Over four, they were turning them away for the original meeting. So there you go. And then all of a sudden it went downhill from that point forward. And this is where we're at now. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Tommy Dalton checks in, good friend of mine. Since everything has gotten straightened out, how does one get involved with the local party? And Jim, this is a great question to ask.
Sign up at that brick and mortar place downtown. That's how you do it.
Don't go there.
David Dial's already put his email address in the comments.
Yes. Let me go back
snag it from there. Give him a call, reach out, and get involved.
Right. Based on your address, we'll hook you up with a precinct officer, and that precinct officer can get you set up to participate in the next meeting, and certainly in reorg in March.
Yep, it's dndial@bellsouth.net, and it's up on the screen right now. That is David Dial. If you'll send him an email, Tommy, he can take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Good.
Did anybody see the comments that our good friend Shaw Tilson made? A blindfold and earplugs are a requirement for the OCC membership.
Oh, that's a good one.
Let's see what else do we have.
Speaking of that, I think the reason a lot of people listen to the OCC and making all that racket was nobody else was making any racket. But unfortunately, it's the empty wagons that make most racket anyway. So when people moving forward need to know that maybe the Republican Party was just busy doing the right thing this whole time until that empty wagon came along. And now we can get back to doing that.
Right. And we can work with the other Republican groups in the county. There's not going to be animosity towards other Republicans in the county. And if members of the OCC want to join in, that's absolutely acceptable. I think you'll find us a lot more accommodating and a lot less judgmental.
Well,
and certainly less rowdy.
What I don't understand about that OCC group is they act like it's I don't know what kind of organization it is, almost like a cult or a church or something. But really, the Republican Party is a party. It's a social club, that gets together and they have a good time and they raise money and they find good candidates. But I mean, this whole censure everybody stuff and let's write these nasty letters to people and everything else they were doing, most of that was uncalled for.
Yeah.
How many people are going to want to be involved in something that makes you miserable?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the comments, Kathy, you're right on something. Is I've heard this from just private citizens. We have private citizens that are afraid to go to county council meetings for the event that if they wanted to speak, if they have a grievance for their council members, they feel the need to bash. And I'm talking the OCC. They love to, if someone says something that they don't agree with, they start attacking. So that's why we're only seeing the same people over and over and over again. We have a lot of people that would love to talk about things and give their ideas to their councilman, but it's not worth it in their opinion, because every time they do, they find out they get attacked on social media for something.
It's the same with school board. It's the same with school board. People are terrified to say anything.
Let me share Luke Moore here real quick before we go. This is a good one here. I want to share real quick. Luke says, I chewed Julian Paul and John Elliott out a couple times when I took Matt Durham at his word when he said it was Elliott doing things or doing when there was a meeting with no pledge of allegiance or prayer. Turns out Matt lied and used me to attack his enemies when he knew it wasn't Elliott's doings. That was where I realized, thanks to my wife pointing it out, that they were using me and anyone else that was loud as a pit bull for their own agenda.
That's right.
That's exactly right, Luke. Good comments.
You know, the thing about it is the point you're making about the council meetings. That's what I got. That's when I started getting involved last year, because December, actually, you look at people like Elliott and Kane. I mean, these guys are just trying to help. And what they were doing to these people, that saying with having families and anybody, that was just shocking to me. So I got into the middle of it, and I kind of held some of them at bay, but thank God Randy came along and helped me out, and that's how I hooked up with everybody. But the point is, what they do, these actions, and the degrading comments and the screaming and yelling, that is their number one strategy. Mm-hmm. Number one. That's all they do. And just like what's happened when I presented
like
the
squad in D.C. with them women. What's their name?
No, that's BS.
Oh,
yeah, hell, they're 10 times
That's
worse.
what they do.
Oh, yeah. So anyway,
Maxine Waters.
Oh, God, I'm going to go to sleep. Okay, so here's the thing. Like with this planning commission.
Weeds to the trees. Let me get that in there.
They already jumped out with all this misinformation. And the reason is, because all they have is this, well, what about government overreach? Yeah. That is 100 bullshit, 100%, because they're doing that to scare people. But they do that to the council all the time. They did that to you, Jim. They do it to Randy. They do it to Jeff. I mean, that's horrible. So anyway,
my question though is,
I wouldn't let him in.
Is Glenn Hart going to put up with their shenanigans next year when he's chairman?
I tell you what, you let them get 1 inch on you, they will own you for life, buddy.
Yeah. I'm ready. I've said it. I'll say it again. Glenn Hart for chairman in 2023.
Yeah, let's see him do it. I think he'd be good. I think they'll get a whole different priority and a whole different idea.
I do know that county council meetings will go a lot longer.
Well, that's good.
Well, I mean, and right off the bat, they got this contracted issue with Seneca Fire. What's he saying? Chris wouldn't even be a Democrat.
Wouldn't even be a Democrat if Randy would have got him into. At least Chris has a red coat on behind. Oh, no, that's my custom made. That's a pillowcase. That's my custom made. Man.
Rainey is right on what he's about to get ready to say. Rainey, go ahead and I'll follow up with your comments on what you're about to say.
So first meeting right out of the gate in January, they pick a chairman, and top of the agenda is probably going to be this $2 million fire contract with Seneca City.
$1.6 million.
Wow.
And I read in the paper this morning that Scott Mulder down there said if they don't pay, they don't play. Mm-hmm. And they're not going to run calls outside the city. And that's
so they just gonna let stuff burn up.
That's
yes.
Blue. That's Walmart. That's
that'll be everything.
Somebody ain't gonna be able to get their Friday sandwich down there.
That's going to be the Utica Mill Village. That's going to be everything south on Wells Highway from Shallow Road. Applewood Shopping Center, by the way, too, is not in the city of Seneca.
Well, did you also see that Walhalla's needing firehouse money too? to the tune of what? How many hundreds of thousands of dollars was that? That was in the paper too. Sounds like an infrastructure problem.
Well, here's what's going to be facing.
It sounds like a whole lot of money until
Well,
yes,
your
it
house
does.
burns.
So we have a new councilman that's going to be coming on for District 3. And right off the bat, Mr. Mize is going to have to face one of the biggest decisions he will probably make in his first 4 years as an elected representative. Right off the bat, he's going to have to take a stand one way or the other. Either he's going to vote for the 1.6 million or he's going to vote against it. And either way that Don votes is going to set up his tenure for where he goes of council, because I'm telling you, one's going to fight, one's going to nail him to the wall, and the other one's going to nail him to the wall. It's going to go either way. So Don, I don't want to be in that position. Thank God I'm not up there, but I'm telling you, it's going to get rough for him in January. He is going to feel the heat like he has never felt before in anything he's ever done. But there is a decision that has to be made.
Right. So, Jeff, let me just say one thing. So these guys that are asking for this money,
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that's happening is they have issues. And it's like, guys, we're giving you a reality check, just like a business. This is the cost, and we have to take action. Now you got to have a council leader or the council that are going to have to make very, very hard decisions.
You don't. You don't even have a majority. You only have 4-4.
Then what will happen is
nothing. Nothing's going to happen.
No. I don't disagree. I'm going to say it differently. They're going to paralyze the county.
How they're going to paralyze the county?
You can't agree on something. You got these issues that are out there festering. What's going to happen? You're either going to have everything go to shit, or you're just going to you won't make decisions.
In the long term, maybe certain individuals want that.
That's right.
They want to destroy the county because it didn't go the way they wanted it, Chris. And I'll explain my comments to you off the air. But
I agree with you.
This has been ongoing for 2 to 3 years. That it has to be destroyed. It has to blow up. You've got multiple people from each side that is saying both the same thing.
Yeah.
My biggest fear in January when we start, okay, Don takes the oath of office. He's a council member. Here we go. Who's going to be the chairman? Well, in the perfect world, Glenn Hart and Don Mize are going to vote the same. And Julian and John Elliott will vote the same. So it's 2-2. And as David Dow says, a 2-2 vote means no. So when we get into budget season, budgeting, if it's a 2-2 vote, we have no budget, and then we have to revert to last year's budget.
Right. So let me say just one thing, Randy. I promise. It's like 3 words. Well, it's actually 4, I think, or 5. But anyways, this is it. What's going to happen is good people are going to be hurt through no fault of their own.
Now,
you're absolutely right that good people are going to be hurt, but then all them carpetbagger friends of mine that got money, they worked hard, they could build them $1 million houses. They're going to come down here and they're going to buy it all up. And then what? And then where's the OCC going to be when there ain't nothing but Yankees on the mountain?
Yeah, because they're all going to be Democrats.
They're going to be whining. They're going to be whining. That's what they're going to do.
Julian makes a good point. In just the past probably 7 to 8 months, most votes recently have been 4-0. Decorum has been respectful and in the best interest of the county. I agree with that.
Yeah,
well, it might be fake news.
Julian says, no, we have to approve a budget. You don't revert. Okay, my mistake. I thought if you couldn't vote on a budget, I thought it went back to the previous year's budget. So, all right, Julie, you set us straight.
Yeah, I thought I told you that, Jeff. I guess you didn't hear me say that earlier.
You never said that. And now, Chris, you've got something going on in your department that you're working on that has been with the Planning Commission, and you want to give us a quick update about that because we're running out of time here.
Yes. Okay, so basically what it boils down to is this. As a private citizen, I made recommendations. And the first thing is when you look at Frankie, at Pat Williams, Teresa, these people, these guys are good people in very, very difficult decisions. So I made a recommendation to follow a 2-step process because what's important is the politics in this county have poisoned so much that these guys go out there and jazz people up and give them all this misinformation, and nothing happens. And we're headed down this path that I think, excuse me, is going to reflect into a special assessments and taxes. But I'm just making a recommendation. There was a vote 5-1 to talk to the council. Ultimately, it's the council's decision on whether they do it in a 2-step or try to do a 1-step. It's totally up to them. I'm just giving them recommendations. And the reason I do the 2-step because I think it's going to be very difficult politically to do it any other way. Excuse me.
Agree.
And that's it. So we're going to wait, and I trust these guys. They have so many things on their plate. The council do that. Who knows what's going to happen, if they're going to be able to find the funding, or they're going to be up to it, or whatever. I do know that they understand the issue, and I respect that. And they'll listen. They got a lot of things on their plate.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer checks in because Matt can't control who would take his place. Luke made a point here to mention that sure would seem smart for District 2 to have representation,
Yes.
but the pride is going to stop that. I agree. And I think going forward, a conversation that I had with Thomas Alexander, something needs to be looked at, particularly in this day and age when we're having the Pickens City Councilman that was suspended.
Yes.
We need to have somebody in the interim place while they're going through the legal process to represent these folks. For example, this happened years ago in Oconee County politics when when we were a supervisor form of government was arrested. They suspended her, but they put an interim in as a supervisor. That was the late Harry Hamilton here, former principal of Seneca High School. Those kind of things need to be looked at and addressed. If you have a public official that has been arrested and charged with a crime, then they're suspended, there needs to be somebody to put into that place that would work to cover that until such time that the charge is either dismissed or he's found, or whoever's found guilty.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, and look at the crime that it is too. Both of these crimes are that we're talking about. We're not talking about even something that's like a monetary crime or a non-violent. These are violent felonies that these people have been accused of. I mean, and
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be dramatic, but they're both Pickens and the one here. They're violent felonies. They're not just, like embezzlement or something like that no one was harmed or anything like that. These people have been accused of violent felonies. So the fact that they're suspended by the governor with good reason, we should be able to have someone step in. We should have had somebody step in months ago.
Exactly.
I don't see the problem.
But
Yeah.
Kathy, when you look at this, and I'm gonna say it again only because of the way these guys spread misinformation. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty,
Absolutely.
and they're entitled to a strong defense, whatever they can afford.
Absolutely.
They're entitled to that. Just like Matt Durham, he's not guilty yet. He's been charged, but as you point out, and people need to get a reality check around here that say, oh, he's going to be back. I support him. All that. People, we're not saying he's guilty at all. But
if he was
like
a teacher, would he be over there with the kids at school?
No. But what
No, he
Kathy
wouldn't.
said, no, but what you're saying is absolutely 100% right. These are very, very serious felony charges, I believe. I believe they're felonies, right?
They're felonies.
They're felonies.
Okay, that's bad. He might not be guilty, but let's face facts. Very serious. And at the end of the day, you have good people in District 2. They're like, dude, I don't care about that. I need representation. So what in the hell is everybody waiting for? Get somebody in there that's going to help these good people.
All right, stand by.
Chris
Got a
is-
couple. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry. Go ahead.
Chris is exactly right. If you are unable to fulfill your duties in office, you should have the integrity. It doesn't matter if you're charged with a crime or you break a leg or you have some other kind of problem. You should have the integrity to say, I owe it to my constituents, to the people that I represent. I am going to resign, and I'm going to allow a special election to take place so that they can get representation. That's the bottom line in my mind.
If you care for your clients or your citizens, you would do that. I agree 100%.
Okay.
If you cared.
Well, it's not. Terry brings up a point. It's not pride. It's my way or the highway. And Well said.
Probably.
I mean, probably. Okay, I got 2 more comments to get to. A Facebook user says, need to help out solid waste. Those people work hard, and people are so rude to the workers. I don't know about that because every time that I go out there, they always treat me with respect, and they're fun, and they're just doing their job. So I don't know about that.
That sounds like that's something for our partner Willie to work on.
Maybe. Julian
No, it said people were rude to the workers.
Let me go back here. People are so rude to the workers. Yes, and they are. I've seen it before. It just depends on where you're at. And they're out there working.
The one we got in Mountain Rest, that guy is absolutely awesome.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
He's been out
for a while. He had some shoulder surgery, and I hope he's doing well. But I tell you what, he's a class act, and he deserves to get paid a whole lot more.
Well, Julian checks in one more time. This council has had more budget meetings and public hearings than any other councils. It started in 2018, where we added additional time and hearings to discuss. Keep in mind, before I was on council, now this is true, there was 0 video, and the only way to hear council was to be there or bring a CD for them to burn the meetings on. You relied completely on radio and media to state what occurred in the meetings. And, it's lucky to have this, is that on our website, you can go to letstalkoconeesc.com, and you can watch any of the Oconee shows, like county council, all the meetings that they have there. We have the school district there. We have everything all there. So you don't have to hunt for it. It's in one location. You can watch and see for yourself what's happening. Don't feel intimidated to get involved in your government just because you've got 2 or 3 up there that hoops and hollers, and get involved. Go up there and listen for yourself. And when you start talking about hearing things, well, I heard so-and-so, go find out for yourself, because with this group, they can't handle facts. We've seen it. All of us here on this show have seen it 9 times out of 10 when we present facts that they can't overturn or they can't throw out. They hunker down on facts because they don't know how to react. They don't know what the next narrative is when you present something that is hardcore facts. So do those things, because 2023 and 2024, these are the next 2 pivotal years in this country. We have an upcoming presidential election, and we have everything happening around it. My best advice is stay informed. Get your information from the source. Don't depend on other people. We're going to tell you the truth. If you don't think we're telling you the truth, then go find it out for yourself. You are the ultimate responsibility of finding out what you want to know about your community, about your nation. It's up to you. Take civic pride. Take an initiative to do it. Now, I'm sorry, I can't go any further, but that's.
Yeah, but let me add one thing. So, and this is important because, believe me, I grew up in a town that was very small. It was the same up there. It doesn't matter where you were born. I mean, there are people coming in here all hell. I've been here almost 20 years, but I get this crap a lot. Well, you were from here. What do you know? It's like, guys, I don't give a crap. I care for the people I live around, and I care for this county, and I love it. So let's just remember that we're all equal in this. We're all paying taxes. We all care. We're all friends. Don't listen to these guys that play that little game. What they're doing is basically trying to just harvest the hate of, well, you're not like me. You're not from around here. Whatever. That's wrong.
Chris, you're close, but what they're doing, they're harboring the ill feelings of a corporation that came in and took their family's land. And it still goes back to Duke power. It goes back that families lost property when they made way for the lake. And I'm the only one on this whole show that is born and raised here. I've lived my 47 years here in Oconee County. And Chris, I've heard this till I'm sick of it. Oh, you're not from around here. Get back. You live up in the lake. I'm tired of hearing that. That's why I chose to ignore those people. I don't want to hear it anymore because I grew up listening to it. It's not about you. We're all people. We're humans. You found Oconee. Rainey, you found Oconee. Kathy, you've been here a while. Jim, you found Oconee. You're invested, Jim, in Oconee County. Chris, you are. All of us are invested in Oconee County. Sure. And I don't care what anybody has to say. Y'all welcome.
Just remember,
give us your tire. Come to Oconee, please.
But just remember, the last group of locals here that got upset about people moving in got put on the trail and sent to Oklahoma.
At least I didn't like people.
Oh, Randy. Hey, I want to also educate people. So I grew up in a very, very small town in northern Indiana. You know, when I look at Yankees, hey, we all have biases. I look at, and I have friends from New York, and I give them a hard time. That's who you ought to be looking at. Don't look at me. I'm one of you.
All right, Roger checks in. This show and friends has helped me stay engaged. I've got a lot going on, but the Balance Show has been fair so far. And this is the final comment tonight because we are at the top of the hour. Sean, once again, the leaders of the OCC are opportunists who prey on people's emotions and on those who don't take the time to educate themselves.
Exactly. I wish we had 2 hours. This is a blast.
Chris, we can't help that. David Dial checks in.
Hey,
real
David.
quick,
You're
though,
my friend.
Rainey, go ahead.
I've got one last question for Jim Man.
Okay.
And I think that all our listeners deserve to hear that. When we were at the last meeting, when you were chosen to be the chairman, Grant Keene had a lot to say.
Yeah.
And he said that if we voted incorrectly during that meeting, that we were going to lose a lot of Republican constituents in the upcoming months. What do you think is going to be key to salvaging those relationships?
I think you just said what's the key. It's relationships. It's sitting down and talking with people. It's being able to listen to people and not discount their point of views. There's no reason to have conflict just when there's disagreement. There's a way to disagree respectfully with one another. I think what Julian put up here a minute ago, it's decorum. It's decorum on this show. It's decorum in the classroom. It's decorum at the school board, at the county council. If you have the proper respectful decorum, everyone has a chance to have a voice. Everyone has a chance to be heard. People can leave feeling like they were respectfully engaged in the conversation. And so if we sit down at the Republican Party meetings from now on, we're going to have proper decorum. We're not going to let one group overtake and intimidate and harass everybody else in the room such that they just sulk in their seats and don't want to open their mouths. We can't allow that to happen anywhere in the county anymore. So engage with the people, have some discussions and even some disagreements, but show some respect.
You know what? Hey, wait, I want to say one thing to the people listening. I don't know how you do it, man. I mean, I saw that video where that dude was saying he was going to keep this stuff, and and you're sitting there, I could see you were a little irritated, but I've never seen anybody that could hold everything together. I was shocked. I'm like, man, who is this guy? But that's what they need, because if they don't have a leader like you at this time, they're going to lose everything. Everything.
Hey, let's listen to something real quick. Hang on a second. Just listen.
These leaders, if y'all vote tonight, I guarantee you the funds will not be turned over because it's still being replaced. Matter of fact, you'll find out.
Are we going to do what they say can be done?
We got him.
I think we got him, but I got one request for you, Jim. Listen to this. This is for you. Hang on.
All get together at night, you know they all call Big Jim Ball just because. And they say you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit into the wind.
Wait,
you don't pull a mask on the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim.
All right.
This was the OCC. There you go, Jim.
Hey, it kind of looks like our little round friend from the OCC, Chris.
Well, there, look.
This show is going completely off the rail.
Where's David Dial? David,
Back to the weeds.
Yep, back to the weeds. Okay, time out. Next week's show, we will be on at 7 o'clock for our Christmas grand finale, our last show of 2022. and we will be on Wednesday. Matter of fact, you can add a couple more people if you want to. I can handle up to 10 people on this broadcast. So we got a couple more we want to throw in there. I mean, this is working great, by the way.
Yeah, but I have only had so much training with that keyboard, Jeff, so let's not get too many because I'm going to run the show.
No, Rainey's in charge next. If I go down.
No, he's not. I got him covered up.
Rainey is in charge. If I go down, Rainey's in charge.
Oh,
Because,
man.
Chris, you're going to have to be hitting the streets selling the radio show.
Oh,
So-
all right. Yes, sir.
Kathy's going to have to take over marketing, and you're going to have to hit the road running selling because, sales makes the world go round.
And I get a
Matter of
raise.
fact, I would recommend you talking to somebody in the OCC leadership about getting them to sponsor this show. I think a commercial, Oconee County Conservatives LLC, would be a nice radio advertising ad on Let's Talk Oconee SC.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'll get my substitute because you'll probably see me. You might be able to take my finger they
took
cut
their
off
money.
and put it on their show.
I can't wait till they start. I can't wait till they start sponsoring soccer teams, and we got all those little kids running around with OCC.com on the back.
Oh God, wouldn't that be wild? Dang, I bet they
What
play
about-
dirty. I bet they play dirty.
I would say that we get the Republicans to sponsor.
I think soccer's a little too
softball
diverse for
team.
them.
It's a
But we know
foreign
what
sport,
happened
so it's
last
out of the question.
Yeah.
Foreign sport, out of the question. Foreign traditions.
Yeah, foreign traditions.
Baseball team, maybe.
Yeah.
But,
Okay,
hey,
guys.
but
Bye,
the last time
everybody.
Republicans were on a baseball team that got
Merry
shot
Christmas.
up.
Hey,
Don't-
deuces, love you.
Deuces.
Bye.
See ya.